Hold on. Dex said what? About the archive droids. I'm gonna have to have a talk with him. Hey. Sorry. Hi. How are you doing today? That's good. That's good. So, can I help you look for anything? We've got all sorts of information from all areas of the galaxy, except the Forbidden Zone. Of course. So, it is my job to lead you to the correct information, and I take a lot of pride in my job. So we're gonna span a couple eras here, and you tell me when I hit what you're looking for. Do you have any place you want to start? Further back in our history? More recent? Yeah, we can go more modern and go backwards a little bit, of course. So I've actually got some pretty good books here. And I guess we'll start with the most modern of all. A book about Queen Amidala, or former Queen Amidala, and now serving senator. Here we have Padme Naberi, and this is her biography called The Queen's Shadow. There are 2 follow-ups to this, in fact. This book is basically going to give you a bit of a rundown of her first term in office as queen, and it's a little bit about the segue from being a queen to her life as a senator. Excuse me, I have a hair stuck in my face. I know we're supposed to wear headbands if that's the case, but just to read you a little bit of this so you can get the feel for it and if it will help you on your journey. The end of her reign is just the beginning. When Padme Amidala steps down from her position as Queen of Naboo, she is ready to set aside her title and return to life out of the spotlight. But to her surprise, the new queen asks Padme to continue serving their people, this time in the Galactic Senate. Padme is unsure about this new role, but cannot turn down the request, especially since, thanks to her dearest friend and decoy, Sabe, she can be in 2 places at once. So while Padme plunges into politics, Sabe sets off on a mission dear to Padme's heart. On the glistening capital planet Coruscant, Padme's new Senate colleagues regard her with curiosity and with suspicion regarding her role in ousting the previous chancellor. Posing as a merchant on Tatooine, Sabe has fewer resources than she thought and fewer options than she needs. So, it is quite a long book here, but it's all in the name of knowledge. It's looking like there's a little over 343 pages here, maxing out at 345 pages. Of course, yeah, something further back, I can of course do that. And this next one's actually from the Queen's reign itself. It is a rendition of what just mildly recent, it was just a few years back, transpired when we found the Sith. And this is William Shakespeare's The Phantom Menace. This Shakespeare guy must have had some elevated language because it is a bit different than some of the derelicts that I've seen before. Here we've got a perfect little rendition. Here we go. Obi-Wan. For fear thou not. This has not been a day made for the warmth of hospitality. And I think because I turned right to the Gungan section, it's gonna be a little not Shakespearean. Yes, as Panaka is known to have said in our history books, Your Highness, I believe we'll not prevail. I fear this battle may undo us quite. This book will tell you basically the blockade of not that long ago that the Trade Federation put on Naboo, and how Queen Amidala, along with 2 Jedis and a young boy, were able to thwart Newt Gunray's power and the Trade Federation. The cover is a bit more traditional. It is not leather bound, but it is this nice papyrus feel to it. So that may help on your journey, might help you focus just a little bit if your meditation seems to be causing issue or not working for any reason. If you're not feeling particularly close to the Force on any day, this book is perfect for you. Okay, yeah. Going back a little further then, we're gonna try to go back one archive further, and then I think we'll make a pretty big leap after that, just to be completely sure that that isn't something you're looking for. But if it is, fantastic. We have found it, and we are on our way to getting you the information you need. Here we have a biography about Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's Padawan. This is by one of our scholars, Kirsten White. Perfect. There's a lot of renditions of that name. Just wanted to be sure to be very honorable to our archivists. Here is just a simple excerpt from the book. At random, yes. He was tensed for attack or any threats. Surely this was off limits for a reason. And for something on this planet to be off limits, it had to be to the annihilation levels of bad. But as far as he could tell, this smoothly carved passageway was the least dangerous place on Lanara. There were no creatures, no trees, nothing to eat him or try to break him. And that is page 185. Out of a total of 409 pages. Of 410 pages. This book is, in fact, one of the leading books on early life of Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who I believe was recently elected to be on the Jedi Council. So be sure to give him acknowledgement if you pass him. So, basically, because you showed a little interest there, I want to go a little further with this book than the others. This book specifically talks about his journey of not feeling like his master, the late Qui-Gon Jinn, who is now one with the Force. How he did not feel connected to him, and how he went out and was going to leave the Order, believe it or not. Yeah, so that brought him to the planet of Lenara, and it was inhabited by several life forms of the earlier variety. And these life forms, well, unsure of Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, ended up becoming close friends of his. If you really ask him, he might just tell you about this early adventure. He did, yes, he did come back. Which is quite interesting because I believe, if I remember the histories correctly, his ship was actually damaged and the planet had a force field of its own energy keeping pilots in. It made it very hard to land on as a planet. Yes. How did he find out about this planet? Well, for that, he had to be a bit mischievous, something we don't know from Master Kenobi anymore. But he was feeling alone at that point. He began to wander sections of the Jedi Temple that weren't often wandered. But in that he found where two other younglings had mapped out the course to Lenara. Yes, quite the adventure. We do have several other volumes if you're interested in Master Kenobi's younger years. And if you're ever feeling alone, or ever feeling like you don't belong, simply read some of his or Anakin Skywalker's archives. They're very helpful in that way. The early days of them. And it's very interesting how the two correlate, because young Skywalker does not fully... It's not the master-Padawan relationship most of us have, where him and Master Kenobi are more of brothers, in a sense. Do you know what I mean by this? Yes, they do talk about it around the temple quite often. I'm just glad we could find this small corner of the archives with not too much sound to overcome or to intercept us talking about Master Kenobi and young Padawan Skywalker. Okay, yes, I was trying to think if Anakin Skywalker had been through the Jedi trials yet, and I don't believe he has been, though it seems like he is ready. I'm not sure. Master Kenobi must see something that I'm not. Skill-wise, he seems ready. But Master Kenobi, rest assured, is a master for a reason. Kenobi's still a Jedi Knight. Really? He seemed so much wiser. I guess that does make sense with his master being Qui-Gon Jinn. Are you sure? Huh. Interesting. Okay, yeah. Now that you mention it, you're right. My apologies. I had not. I was so under the impression that this pairing, with all of their accomplishments, had been through so much more and was so much further in their journey. Kenobi is how old? And he's already accomplished. There are volumes and volumes on Mass Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi. For him not to be... Is he not on... You know what? I think I had a premonition. I definitely had a vision of the future where young Skywalker becomes a Jedi Knight, Master Obi-Wan Kenobi becomes Master Obi-Wan and not Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi. So he didn't just get on the council. No, that would be impossible. Okay, well, don't spoil this surprise for Obi-Wan Kenobi, that he will one day be on the Jedi Council. Visions can change. Sorry. So, is Obi-Wan who you're looking for? Okay, maybe. We can go back in time a little further. This is where the real history begins. This is when Yoda was in his 200s. I know. Yes, Grandmaster Yoda. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is, of course, in our High Republic era. This is the High Republic, Light of the Jedi. L-I-G-H. The J-E-T-I. That's you. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice. This is when our mantra was of light and life. Let's see what we can glean. The galaxy is at peace, ruled by the glorious Republic. Sound familiar? We have been at peace for a very long time. Recently disturbed, but still relatively peaceful. As a symbol of all that is good, the Republic is about to launch the Starlight Beacon into the far reaches of the Outer Rim. This new space station will serve as a ray of hope for all to see. But just as a magnificent renaissance spreads throughout the Republic, so does a frightening new adversary. Now the guardians of peace and justice must face a threat to themselves, the galaxy, and the Force itself. And if you didn't know, this history book starts with a tragedy. Yes, a ship that was in hyperspace was ripped apart at hyper speed, meaning the parts were not able to slow down and instead were sent hurtling through a system filled with people. It was through the courageous acts of a few of the locals and the quick or the swift acknowledgement from the Jedi that were nearby, that this crisis was largely, not completely, averted. Several space stations were destroyed, and several people lost their life and became one with the Force. But about 700 years ago, are we far enough back yet? Yes. Well, we've got one more book here that goes a little farther. If you'd like, I can tell you about it. It's about one of the greatest stories of our entire history. Do you know the story? This story is about Master Revan, known very well as Jedi Revan, Jedi Master Revan, and Darth Revan. This book shows a bit of it shows his Jedi side. And it's good to see we get a nice little moment in history where they caught Master Revan's with social life, we might say, personal life, if you will, with another Jedi, Bastila Shan. Yes, there is a narrative-based story around it, you're right. So, this book is 298 pages, one of the shorter ones we have here. Yes. The Phantom Menace. No, of course. We can, of course, go back to it if that's what you're thinking. Right. Here's the afterword. 168 pages. Yes. And here's a little image from the end there. Apologies, the lighting in here is just something else. Okay, perfect. Right back by me. I'm not sure why the lighting is so harsh, but that is what I've got here. If you give me a more specific topic that you're looking for, I could go and fetch those titles and alert you when they are ready. But in the meantime, would you like any of the books that I've showed you today? Okay, so you are interested in that title. Perfect. Let me just restack these and give you this book here. Of course, and what you're going to want to do is go up to the front of the archives and check this book out with the head librarian. Yes, Jocasta knew. Of course. And again, if you need any help, please feel free, feel welcome to ask any of us that work here in the library. We love to help you. You go out there and you keep peace, and we fill our role here in this beautiful room. looking for the computer. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's actually just right over there. Yeah, I am. So, but you're good with that book, right? Of course. Well, enjoy your computer access in your digital archives. Apparently, a local diner with an owner named Dex has been making some jokes at our droids that digitize our archives. So, have fun with that information. But it's good talking with you. I must help this young one. They have been waiting for a minute for my attention. They've been patiently waiting. So I thank you for your time, and I will see you next time. And I will get those books ready for you. Yeah. It's not just one, it's kind of a conglomerate. Yes. Of course. Bye.